Today we're going to have a short video on reviewing. This is an important skill to have as you get older and you get to learn a whole lot more stuff. You need to be able to review what you know in order to show what you know on a test. So let's take a look at our I can statement. I can review what I know about decimals before taking a test. The first thing you're going to be tested on is knowing your place value from billionths to billions and being able to name and write decimal numbers. One way you can do that is by using your place value chart. If you look at this, it tells you all of the place values, and remember that there's a pattern to follow. If I see the decimal point right here and the ones place right here, I know all the place values that are bigger than 1. Tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, billions. Now, if I want to go the other way, to go smaller than 1, well, here's tenths. So this would be the same as writing the fraction, 1/10. Oh yeah, it's written down there. And then I have hundredths. Look here, tens, tenths, hundreds, hundredths, thousands, thousandths, 100,000s, oh, did I skip one? 10,000s, 10,000ths. And it just mirrors all the way out forever in both directions. And it mirrors, or it is symmetrical around the ones place. You must know these place values in order to name the numbers. If you don't, make sure you study those tonight. You must also be able to name numbers from millions to millionths, and also be able to take the name of the number and write it in number form. If you were given these words, 36,004,000, I expect that you were able to write this as a number. I know that I would write 36, comma, so that would be 36 million and 4,000. I know what 4,000 looks like. And I know that this right here is the 100,000s place, the 10,000s place, and then I would get to the thousands place. And then I need another comma, and then I need 3 zeros for the hundreds, tens, and ones. And if I look at this now, I can see that this is 36,004,000. It says the exact same thing as right here. The next thing is you need to be able to write numbers in expanded form. If I saw this number, it says 321 and, my decimal point, and 6 hundredths. In order to write it in expanded form, I take each individual place value and I write it by itself. So I have 3 in the hundreds place, so I write 300. I have 2 in the tens place. Well, that 2 is not worth 2, it's worth 20. I have 1 in the ones place, so that is worth 1. Then I have 0 in the tenths place, so I don't need to write anything for that because it's 0. And then I have a 6 in the hundredths place, so I would write decimal 06, and that is a 6 in the hundredths place. If you look at each part of this, notice that I have all zeros except for one number, all zeros except for one number, just the number 1 by itself, and a 0 and 1 number. Each part of my expanded form should only have one digit that's not a 0. I took each place value and I wrote it by itself. If I were to write it like this, 321 plus 6 hundredths, that is not expanded form. I just took 2 parts and I separated it, but expanded form means take each individual digit and write it by itself. Next, you will also be tested on comparing and ordering decimals. If I have 6 tenths and 407 thousandths, that's the thousandths place, I need to be able to know which one of these is larger. And the one thing I can do to make sure that I do it correctly is I can line up the decimal point and compare them on top of each other. This allows me to see that, yes, okay, the ones place is the same. So that doesn't tell me which one's bigger. The decimal point is lined up. Then I get to the tenths place. This is the biggest place that's left. Hundreds and thousandths are smaller, so they don't really matter yet. So I'm going to ignore those and just look at 6 tenths or 4 tenths. If I want to think of it like this, 6 tenths or 4 tenths, which one of those is bigger? Oh yeah, well, 6 tenths is larger, so I would use this symbol. 6 tenths is greater than 0 and 407 thousandths. If I have multiple numbers, I can do the same thing. If I look at 3 different numbers like this, I can see pretty quickly how to compare them. I start in the far left place value, so if there were more place values over here, I would start further left. But I'm going to start in the ones place, because that's the biggest place value. They're all the same. Then I go to the next place value. Well, I go to the decimal point, make sure they're lined up. Then I go to the next place value, and I see that I have 6, 6, and 0. So right away I can see that this is the smallest number. So I would move that to the smallest place. So I've written it on the bottom. Next, I'm going to look at these two because I had the same digit in the tenths place. So I'm going to go here, and I see that I have nothing right here. So I'm going to put a 0 and a 0 to help me keep track. Next, I see that, oh, they're not the same. So one of these is larger than the other. Which one's larger? The 3 hundredths is larger than 0 hundredths. So the next place value would be 1 and 6 tenths. That's this number. And then finally I would write 1 and 638 thousandths. That would be the biggest number out of those three. And I double check. All right, same place, same number is in that place value. Next here, yes, that is the smallest. It's a 0 in the tenths place. These are the same, so I'm going to compare these again in the hundredths. They're different. Yes, this one is smaller because there's a 0 there and there's a 3 there. And the 8 doesn't really matter. There could be anything there, and it doesn't affect the answer. Next, I need to be able to also compare them on a number line. Remember, you can pause at any time if you need to review something. I need to be able to compare them on a number line, and I see that I have, on this number line, 6, 7, and 8. So those are my whole numbers. I also see that it's broken apart in between. Let's see how many pieces it's broken into. Since it's decimals, my guess is that it's 10 pieces. So each of those are tenths. But I want to make sure. So I have 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I get to the next whole number. Yep, 10 equal pieces. Try it again. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. So it's tenths. So if I said find this number, 6 and 3 tenths, I would know that it's bigger than 6, but smaller than 7. So it's going to be in between here and here. Then I need to know that it's 3 tenths, so I would count, there's 6 and 0 tenths, 1, 2, 3. 6 and 3 tenths is right there. Likewise, if I had 7 and 8 tenths, I know that it's bigger than 7, but less than 8. So I would count 8 tenths bigger, so there's 7 and 0 tenths, 7 and 1 tenth, 7 and 2 tenths, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 and 8 tenths is right there. The last thing we're going to look at is adding and subtracting decimals. Here you have a subtraction problem, 3 and 3 tenths minus 2 and 872 thousandths. In order to subtract this, I'm going to rewrite it vertically. The first thing I need to do is I need to line up the place values. So I line up the ones place, the decimal points are right on top of each other, and 872 thousandths. Just double check your lineup. Yes, one place are lined up. Decimal point has not moved, it's in the same spot. My tenths place, and then I also am going to need some place values up here. So I've written in some zeros to help myself out, and now I can do my subtraction. I see that I have 0 thousandths here, and I need some to subtract, so I need to ungroup. I can't do it here because I have 0 hundredths, so I'm going to need to go all the way over to my tenths place. So I ungroup my tenths, that leaves me with 2 left, and that gives me 10 new hundredths. Well, I still need to get more thousandths, so I ungroup again, and I finally get thousandths. If I look closely, I can subtract there and there, but not in my tenths place yet, so I'm going to do the same thing again. So I ungroup my ones, and that leaves me with 12 tenths. Now I can subtract everything. 8, 2, 4, decimal point comes straight down, and 0. So my final answer is 428 thousandths. Make sure you line up the place values and you ungroup correctly in order to solve these problems. That's everything you need to know for the test. If you have any questions on any of that, make sure you ask them before the test. Also, if you need practice on a certain skill, make sure you practice it tonight because the test again is tomorrow.